The World Bank Group says two of its units would provide another $517 million to Ghana in form of debt and guarantees to support the $7.7 billion Sankofa oil and gas project developed by Italy's Eni SPA and upstream trader Vitol Ghana. The financing adds to a $700 million World Bank guarantee package announced last July and brings the institution's total financing to around $1.217 billion for the offshore project, whose gas component is set to open in 2018. World Bank's commercial lending arm, the International Finance Corporation, has committed a loan of $235 million to Vitol of Ghana and is arranging another $65 million in debt. Eni of Italy holds a 44.4% stake in Sankofa, Vitol holds 35.6%, and Ghana National Petroleum Corporation holds a combined carried and participating interest of 20%. In another story, but sticking with the oil and gas in Nigeria, the government, via the Petroleum Ministry, signs a landmark agreement to exit cash calls on joint venture crude production with international oil partners, 6 of them in particular. The new framework will increase Nigeria's annual revenue by $2 billion and push net revenue outlook to about $14 billion by the year 2020.
This is a landmark milestone for industry and a positive step change, and we want to thank you for your strong leadership. The JV Arrears Repayment Agreement provides a clear line of sight on the recovery of long-standing arrears and provides a more streamlined process for sustainable partner funding in the future. Resolving these two key issues for the joint ventures will no doubt increase investor confidence and will pave the way to increased investment in the future. We have a number of oil and gas projects that we are dusting off the shelves that were on hold just because we needed to resolve the base business, funding of the base OPEX and base capital part of the business. And I know that we're all working hard to bring those projects forward, and we believe those projects will help to stabilize production in the joint ventures and increase production over time. And again, I just want to strongly emphasize that the repayment of the arrears and the sustainable funding model is the key enabler to additional investments in the future. So I know we're very excited, as well as our colleagues at NNPC. And I think as we move forward, as we've worked so well together, it's been a lot of work over the last 3 or 4 months to work through these term sheets and agreements. I know with the hard work and working together to implement these agreements effectively is equally important, and I'm confident, and I know my colleagues are confident, that we will continue to work extremely well together to make sure we implement the agreements as intended. So, Honorable Minister of State, NNPC GMD, I do again want to thank you for your leadership, your collaboration. I think this milestone shows that if we focus and we work together, there's really no issue that we can't tackle together to come up with a solution that will be good for all stakeholders involved.
This for me is very significant. I think if we continue to focus on the key things that make this industry work, and they haven't been addressed for years, we'll get industry to a point where we can compete with our compatriots all over the world. We dealt with the downstream. This is probably the most important item in the upstream. And then as obviously we begin to go into the policy measures and infrastructural development and the rest. And there's still a lot of work to be done, obviously. We need to get this, after the signing ceremony, we need to set up the governance processes that the government approved. And that's a lot of work again on McCarthy and his team. But I think, like Clay said, the collaborative effort that has gone into this between the OPTS members, NNPC management, and to a very, very limited extent going forward now, the ministry is going to take us past, get to a point where we can look back and say, how did we survive all these years? I challenge the oil companies now to put their money where their mouth is. I was told that once this is done, investments will begin to rush into the country and look into all the projects that we have abandoned or put on the side, coming back on the table. And we'll continue to remain collaborative enough to support you, making sure that we reap the very best results in our oil industry.
In Zimbabwe, Southern Africa, many traders in Harare are now accepting the country's new bond notes in exchange for goods in the capital, where some say they are now able to sell their wares more easily. The country's central bank started circulating $10 million worth of new bond notes last month, a quasi-currency that authorities expect will ease a serious cash crunch, but will limit withdrawals to curb any abuse.
Grace Mulambo, a vegetable trader in Harare, Zimbabwe, says she's been selling produce with much more ease since the country launched a bond notes currency last month. The bright green bond notes, introduced by the Southern African nation's central bank to try to ease a shortage of dollars, has been accepted by most businesses and black market traders. The currency, which held its value against the US dollars, was introduced in November, despite warnings that it could cause hyperinflation and suggestions it could bring down President Robert Mugabe.
To my side, things are changing because I can get the $2 notes, the dollar coin, and people are coming to buy with the notes. Yeah, it seems as people are getting money here and there, so we can manage to build up my business. So I think it may be mid-March, April, if the bonds are a lot, things will be okay.
At independence from Britain in 1980, Zimbabwe was regarded as one of Africa's most promising prospects. But its economy has nearly halved since 2000 after the violent seizure of white-owned commercial firms and disastrous printing of money. The secrecy of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe around the release of the notes, including its failure to publish security features or say where they have been printed, has heightened fears it will print more than a stated $200 million insurance limit. The RBZ first announced its plans to introduce the bond notes in May to address the chronic cash shortages and supplement the dwindling US dollars that have been in circulation for the past 7 years.
And we're rounding off in Mozambique, where the central bank governor, Rogerio Lucas de Mela, says the central bank has injected 8 billion meticas, that's the country's currency unit by name, that's about $111 million US dollars, to recapitalize Mozabanco, which is owned by Portugal's Novo Banco, to avoid a run from depositors and creditors. A case of too big to fail, the central bank has therefore guaranteed all deposits at Mozabanco and take over its day-to-day operations. Mozabanco got into difficulties this year due to rapid expansion of its branch network and incomplete recapitalization from the shareholders. Well, thank everyone for watching. I am Bosidom with today's edition of Business Incorporated. I'll see you again. Do have a great week.